And then, like old days, he takes this man's chadar and wipes his hand in it. And then he pats him on his back. Then he said, "You should come. I will take you. You should come." And then Prabhupada gets up and then, he tells his followers that I used to sit here and, we come in the morning from here. We took that road to go to the school. And he said he was a very intelligent student. He used to score more than me and all that. And then they come down. And Prabhupada continues to go to Victoria Memorial, and then he came back. And that afternoon around 3 o'clock, Junior Ganguly said that around 3 o'clock when he came back from the school, the father asked for some water. Then he just leaned back and then he said that Bhaktivedanta Swami will take me. And he closed his eyes. That was it. It's amazing. That day was his departure. Or maybe by seeing Prabhupada, he got so excited. When you become so happy also, your heart stops. And he was not any especially sick or anything. He was just old age. He was healthy. There was no sickness. And he saw Prabhupada, and that interaction with Prabhupada accelerated him so much that that was it. He left his body. So Miss Junior Ganguly told that I was there when he left the body, and I could see that actually he has been taken by Prabhupada. As he said, "You come, I will take you." And when he said that in the morning, we were thinking he's telling you come to ISKCON and I will take you to America or something. But we didn't understand that this is what he meant. He actually took him. So then he said, that's why when you called up, I said, "You come." Then he said, in fact, actually, our head office is in Calcutta and we are already life members. He said, "I just wanted to share this with you, that's why I called you." And after that, he came next Sunday, even though he was a very busy man, he came for the Sunday program. I remember he was coming from there, every Sunday he was coming to the program. And so this, in something that Prabhupada told him before, that I will do something and I want your help. And Prabhupada actually offered him, yes, you should come and do the Sanskrit teaching. And because he was not ready to do that, he was mentally so tired, so Prabhupada took him to the spiritual world.
Prabhupada, he would always have he would make comments about my son, because my son at 2 years old started wearing glasses. He had poor eyesight, and Prabhupada would always comment, his glasses are bigger than his head. And, he would say things, if Upendra mentioned, that Somya was being, Prabhupada would inquire about Somya, and Upendra would say, "Oh, he's well, Prabhupada, sometimes he's naughty, and, this or that." Prabhupada would say, "Well, naughty means intelligent, And he said he should learn Sanskrit from Pradyumna.
Another time in Vrindavan, I was serving Srila Prabhupada on a few occasions when he was sickly. And I remember one time in the evening, we would, of course, set up his mosquito net, and he was not feeling well at all. I think that was the first time we had 24-hour kirtan in our movement at that time. So I would massage him in the evenings sometimes with Vicks Vapor Rub, actually. Prabhupada liked when I rubbed that on. So in Vrindavan, we're not supposed to step on even an ant in Vrindavan. You have to be very careful of the living entities there. They are not ordinary. So I'm sitting on Srila Prabhupada's bed inside the mosquito net, but somehow or another, one mosquito got inside the net. So I immediately saw it fly by, and I grabbed for it. And Prabhupada said, "No." So I kept massaging. Then the mosquito landed on Srila Prabhupada, and I flicked it away. Srila Prabhupada turned to me and said, "Now catch it, he is attacking."
In the course of taking care of Manisha, who was only a 13-year-old child at the time, she went through a lot of stages. And her mother, Antajana, had gone to Srila Prabhupada and said, what should I do with her? What's the best thing? And he said, you should simply keep her comfortable. So that was a very loose, kind of direction to go in, because comfortable could mean drugs or medication, or it could mean moving and so many things. So we kind of improvised from that basic direction to go in. So we brought her to the Himalayas in the hot season and did so many things. And the mother's becoming anxious, and she was near dying, and so she really wanted to see Prabhupada to ask, and she was so distraught. So it was just before the evening artik, and Prabhupada was getting ready to go with Harisari, was his servant at the time. So we were able to go in, and there was myself and Antajana, the mother, and the girl, Manisha. So we went in the darshan room, and the mother said, Prabhupada, she said, I don't know what to do, she's dying. And Prabhupada's eyes got, huge, and said, we are all dying. For you, tomorrow, for me, next week, we're all dying. And the way that he said it was like, where have you been? What have I been saying? What have I been preaching? Why did I come here? I came here to show you that we're dying, and it's just a matter of time, and you should chant Hare Krishna. And he was becoming like really kind of almost outraged that this would be a surprise, that you're now dying. And we were kind of thinking maybe we'd get some empathy of a different sort, some sympathy, like, oh, I'm so sorry, but there was nothing. He cut to the chase immediately. There wasn't any type of soft pedaling, nothing like that, just right to it. And it really kind of threw us all back. And so Manisha was having a really hard time chanting, as you would. She's 13, she's a bag of bones, and she didn't want to chant 16 rounds every day. So she asked Srila Prabhupada, what should I do? What'll happen to me if I don't chant 16 rounds? And he said, you'll be born, in an aristocratic family, or educated and wealthy. But he said, chant Hare Krishna. Simply chant Hare Krishna.
We were walking, this was in Cheviot Hills, because either he would go to Venice Beach or Cheviot Hills most frequently. So we were in Cheviot Hills, and this was the time frame where Bali Mardon was involved with that Japanese woman. It turned out to be a big sham, but at the time everyone thought she was heir to Toyota fortune and so forth. So he was dressed in his kind of John Lennon outfit, all white with the gold chains and everything. And he was always very much a gentleman, as my experience, Bali Mardon. So we were walking, and there was about 6 of us. And Karandar and Bali Mardon and I had kind of lagged behind towards the end of the walk, because I was asking, I mentioned this to Karandar, and now I was bringing up to Bali Mardon of whether he could loan some money to San Francisco Temple, because we wanted to buy this property in Hayward. And we were going to kind of expand the temple in that direction where householders could live. They had some duplexes. So I was running that by him. And I remember during the conversation kind of thinking, well, this is kind of a big deal. Maybe we'll get this money and so forth and so on. And during it, we'd kind of drop back, and we were having a little private discussion. And Prabhupada was walking ahead, and it was towards the end of the walk, so we were still talking. We got into the car, and Prabhupada was almost to the car. And he stopped and turned around and looked at us, because he was with the other devotees and even saying some things to them. And he turned and looked at us, and I remember it hit me, because the look he gave was not at all pleased. It was like, Prabhupada's looks could be very complex. There was a lot going on there. But I don't know, the best way maybe I could describe it, how I felt, was kind of like, there you are, playing with the broken glass. You think that you're making some plan to expand the movement, and here is Krishna's pure devotee, and you've separated yourself, and you're in this, mental state. And of course, then it turned out that there wasn't even any money there. You know, it even exacerbated the foolishness of it. But I still remember that look very clearly. And it was like, gee, Christmas, what am I thinking, you know? I'm back here. We could talk about this anytime. In these precious moments with Prabhupada, I'm letting my little sense of self-importance run away from me.